everybody. Season 2 has begun. We are here for the first race of the second season here at CSRL. We are at Kyalami. We have a good full field here of cars. And we've got plenty of new faces joining us tonight. We're going to try to keep all these names straight. Forgive me if I get your names wrong or if I lose track of who's who. We've got a couple of new guys that have the same last name. We've got new guys with hard to pronounce last names for a dumb old country boy like me. So we will be doing our best to get all the action called smoothly. But we are going to tonight be watching what should be a very intense race as these guys prepare now to come off the line. You can see that our running order is Alex Moda, Mike Wojcik, John Snow, Ken North, Andre Marchician, Mike Doherty, Pedro Perez, Evan Miller, Scott Taylor, Eric Tong, DJ Young, Lorenzo Liu, Samuel Rock, Joe Marsiglia, Jonathan Bryan, Logan Wolf, Johnson Liu, Nick Driveman, and Scott Hager. So we've got 19 cars on the track tonight. I think our highest number for last season was 14. So we've succeeded that already in the first week. So that's an exciting detail for tonight's race. We're hoping to have some custom liveries for as many guys as want to use them. It is a feature that is available this year. We are working hard to try to keep the files updated at least for me, so that when I broadcast on YouTube, those custom liveries will show up. So we're trying to get the files shared around between everybody, but it's especially important that I have them so that we can see some of these cool paint jobs. And speaking of cool paint jobs, we'll take a look at Mike Doherty. He's representing the CSRL logo on the back of his car as well as across the wing. So we're going to give him extra attention because his car looks really good, but he's also representing the league, which we love to see. A little bit of a kiss-ass move by Doherty, but hey, we love him for it. Then we got Pedro Perez with the Megadeth paint scheme. It's looking sharp. It's kind of hard to get a good angle of the top of his car. See, none of these cameras really do it justice. We'll just have to wait till the camera angle gets right. But the paint job is very awesome with the Megadeth layout and everything. Looks great. And I'm sure you'll get to see it throughout the races this season. And then last but not least, our other custom livery belongs to Joe Marsiglia. So he's got a really cool custom paint job. These guys put a lot of work into these designs, so it's really cool to see us be able to use them this season. So we're making our way around on the warm-up lap. Everybody's warming their tires and brakes and trying to calm their nerves before the start of the race. We've got a new face up in the front. We've got Mike Wojcik up front. We've never raced with him before. This is his first official race with us. And he was very fast during practice this week in the practice races. So we expect him to be very fast again tonight. And in qualifying, he was. He qualified second. Him and Moda were kind of back and forth during qualifying, but Moda came out on top. So, and of course, Mr. Reliable John Snow is in third, but John won the whole thing last season. He's our reigning champion, and so we know he's a big threat every race, especially as tires begin to wear and fuel loads change and everything as the car evolves. John is extremely dangerous in those situations. A very consistent driver. So you see these guys trying to get everything formed up here. Getting ready for the start of the race. lot of nerves for these drivers right now. You know, in a situation like this, it's an hour-long race. You got plenty of time to make up positions if you lose a little on the start, but it's very intense nonetheless for these guys. So we're just waiting for that green flag, and there it is, green light. So we are a go. See, Wojcik got a really good jump off the start. He is going to be on the outside on this first turn though, but he's going to have plenty of room to get over in front of Moda. Moda a little bit slow into that first turn. He's got Ken North on the outside of him. Behind that we see Marchician and Mike Doherty side by side. These guys are battling. You see Pedro Perez right behind them, and we see Evan Miller side by side with Scott Taylor. Taylor backs off it a little bit, gets in behind him. So a lot of close racing. Oh, Taylor losing it, and off the track goes Taylor, so that's going to cost him the positions there. Let's see what's going on up in the front. Ken North holding his own in front of John Snow. Alex Moda has recovered a little bit after that slow start, trying to run down Wojcik. Wojcik showing great speed. He's doing a really good job out in front. So in these big races like this, you know, it's a points race, it's an hour-long race, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you just have to get into your race pace as quickly as you can, settle in, and start putting down some clean, consistent laps. That's what it's all about. Outright speed will not win you a race like this. You need consistency, and you need to be reliable lap after lap after lap. It's the only way you can win a race like this, because you might be the fastest guy on the track, but one mistake will ruin your whole race. So we've seen that many times over. You see Moda in the slipstream here coming down on Wojcik. These guys are starting to gap Ken North a little bit. Ken is now he's only 1.2 seconds behind, so I guess it's not much of a gap. And John Snow's only 0.5 seconds behind him. Meanwhile, Andre Marchician and Mike Doherty and Pedro Perez are all right there. 5, 6, and 7. These guys are all still very much in the hunt for the lead. Not far off. See Evan Miller here battling with Eric Tong. Tong trying to catch up to him in the Aston Martin. Eric was driving an Audi last year, so we've got a lot of drivers who are in new cars this year. I'll try to point those out as we come to people. Let's take a look a little bit back here. We got Joe Marsiglia. He's in front of Lorenzo Liu. Joe was in the Ferrari last year, and he's in the Ferrari again this year. Alright, let's check back in the front. Uh-oh, something happened to Alex Moda. What happened to Alex? Alex was right on the heels of Wojcik. Let's see what happens here. Alex qualified first. He's the fastest guy on the track tonight, and was pretty much all week. He won both practice races this week, so he was trying to go for the hat trick here tonight. Little wide there. Oh, he just disconnected. That is a loss of connection. That is what that engine, I could hear an engine just screaming in the background. That was Alex's Porsche flying through the air and redlining. So that's what happened there. Really tough break for Moda. He was poised to, if not win this race, have a really good finish. So that's disappointing for him. We hate to see that. Meanwhile, that's going to take some of the pressure off Wojcik. He's got a pretty good lead now. He's about almost 2 seconds. He's 1.85 seconds ahead of Ken North. And Ken has got his own problems to deal with, because he's got John Snow all over him. So this battle is warming up. John, fast as always. He's not the most aggressive driver when it comes to trying to make aggressive passes and things like that, but he will put the screws to you. He's very high pressure when he's behind you. Drives very close. That Bentley, very intimidating in the rear view. If you see that thing coming up behind you, it looks like a a Mack truck coming up behind you. It's very intimidating if you're running around the track and he comes up behind you. So Ken's got his hands full with that. Let's take a look back. Marchician still holding on to fourth with Mike Doherty behind him. Not under too much pressure from Doherty right at the moment. And these guys have pulled away from Pedro Perez a little bit. Pedro still holding on to 6th place, but doesn't quite have the pace of Doherty and Marchician. You see Evan Miller and Eric Tong still going at it really strong back there, right behind Pedro Perez. These guys are having a good race. Joe Marsiglia and Lorenzo Liu right behind them. So we got a really nice foursome of cars from 7th to 10th place. These guys are all having a good race so far. After that, the gaps open up a little bit. We got a good battle between Scott Hager and Samuel Rock going on for 11th place. Oh, and Scott Hager ends up off the track. That's going to cost him the position. Samuel's going to take it from him easily. You see, now he's got to worry about Lorenzo Liu in that Porsche. We'll see what happens there. Some of these guys are jumping around on the split, so it's hard to tell who's with who. We got DJ Young right on the back of Nick Driveman. So a good battle going on here between these guys. We basically got battles going on all over the field except the very back. So you see Jonathan Bryan here in the BMW. He is behind Logan Wolf and Scott Taylor. We know Scott had that off the track incident at the beginning of the race. You see a little bit of damage there on Logan Wolf's car. Not sure what that's from. You see the damage on Scott Taylor's car. He definitely made contact with the wall, looks like, when he went off the track. So we'll keep an eye on all these guys. Let's get back up to the front. Oh, we're looking at the back and we missed some action in the front. Let's go back. We're going to have to go back a little ways, I think. There it is. Okay, so Ken North still holding on to second, but Wojcik's trying to get away, and John Snow, if he's going to catch Wojcik, he's got to get around Ken North. Ken doesn't seem to quite have the pace that John does at this point in the race. You see John make the move for the inside on the long sweeping turn. Ken kind of let him have it there, but it might have been because he ran a little wide by accident. But not much of a fight there by Ken. Hopefully he can dive in behind him and keep the pace with Snow. If you're keeping up with Snow, he'll lead you to the front because that's where he's always at. So you see Wojcik's got a pretty nice gap. He's up to 2.3 seconds now in the lead. He's had a really nice race so far. You see Marchician, he's still about a second excuse me, still about a second ahead of Doherty. Doherty not quite able to put the pressure on him right now, but we know Mike gets faster as the race goes on. As the car wears down and the tires wear down, Mike just kind of stays the same and everybody else slows down. So we'll see what happens over the course of the race. Andre driving that Mercedes this year, this season. Last season he was in the Aston Martin, I believe. He was in the Aston Martin and was really, really good in the Aston Martin. Some of these guys were really dominant in the cars they were in. Kind of surprising. Mike Doherty is one. He finished third in our championship last year, and he dominated the first half of the season in the Aston Martin. And kind of surprised to see some of these guys switch to a new car for the new season. But maybe that's, part of the fun of it is learning a new car and learning the ins and outs of a new car while you're learning, new tracks and everything else. So definitely don't want it to ever get stale when you're racing. So we see this battle. Ken North is still hanging on with John Snow pretty good, keeping the pressure on him. So John seemed to have a lot quicker pace than North when he was behind him, but hasn't been able to pull away from him since he got in front of him. and he's still about 2.9 seconds behind Wojcik. So Wojcik is really putting on a good display right now, but there's a lot of laps to go. We're running 35 laps tonight. We are at 4 laps right now, so we're still very much in the early parts of this race. The pit window is going to open up somewhere around 10 or 11 laps, lap 10 or 11, something like that, and that will be when pit stops start, and that'll shuffle the field pretty good. So we'll try to keep tabs on who's pitted and who hasn't, but with this many cars we may miss a few people hitting the pits, but we'll try to keep track of what's going on, especially with the top half of the field. So you see Wojcik running a nice clean race, and you see Marchishin and Doherty back there. They're 1.6 seconds between Ken North and Marchishin, so it's not a big gap. It's less than 2 seconds. It's just enough that Ken can focus on John in front of him and not really have to worry about Andre. All right, let's take a look back in the field a little bit. We got Pedro. He's kind of on his own right now. He's still got Evan Miller behind him. Evan's having a nice race so far. Looking good in the BMW. He was in... Let's see, what did Evan drive last season? It wasn't the BMW. I'm trying to think what car he was in. I think he was in the Audi, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that, but he was in a different car. This is his first race with us in the BMW, and looking pretty strong so far. Meanwhile, back here behind him, there's a battle going on between Joe Marsiglia and Lorenzo Liu. You see Marsiglia running wide there. Liu getting up alongside of him, and it looks like Liu's going to make that pass. Joe's got a little bit of damage on the front of that Ferrari, so I'm not sure what happened there. So that's going to drop him down to 9th place. Joe has shown some really good speed in certain races, and then at other times he's had some unfortunate mishaps that cost him a lot of positions. So he's fast when he's fast. When he is fast, he's a very competitive driver. But struggling a little bit with that Ferrari, I think, so far in this race, because you see him off the track a little bit there. So let's take a look. Let's see, I'm looking at the splits here. Pedro is still by himself. Doherty has reeled in Marchishin. He's got it down to 0.5 seconds, so he's close on Marchishin now. You see John Snow has pulled a gap on Ken North. He's now over 2 seconds in front of Ken North, so Ken losing touch with John a little bit. You see Doherty looking to the inside here on Marchishin. Marchishin's not going to have it though. He's gonna hold on to that position. See Doherty looking to the inside again. He's got the pace to get around him. He's just got to find a spot where he can make it stick. Andre is not afraid to race close. We've had several documented situations where he was so close to the car in front of him that it looked like there was contact, but he actually didn't touch him. You see Doherty coming around the outside this time, and that's not going to work either. So Doherty's looking, he's sticking his nose in and around, but just unable to make it happen so far. Meanwhile, John Snow is slowly cutting into that lead that Wojcik has. He's got it down to 2.4 seconds now, so John has picked up the pace. He's pulled away from Ken about 2 seconds, and he's slowly reeling in Wojcik. Let's take a look on board with Doherty. Try and find a way to get around Marchishin. We're 7 laps out of 35, so we're about 1/5 of the way into the race. This is usually when Jon Snow and Mike Doherty start to kind of pick people off, because as the car's tires wear and the fuel load changes and the car kind of evolves through the race, 8 to 10 laps is when these guys kind of come to life. We've seen them dominate last season, both with multiple wins. Really had a great season. Mike missed 1 or 2 races and still finished in 3rd in the points, and John had 1 or 2 mishaps that cost him positions, and he ended up winning the championship. So that just shows how dominant he was when he didn't make a mistake. He had at one race I can remember for sure, he had a situation in the pits where he had a speeding penalty and it cost him several positions. But even still, he won the championship by how consistent he was the rest of the season. So you see Doherty showing Marchishin the inside, but then diving out of it. Marchishin's not afraid to put on the defense either, so it's going to make it harder for Doherty. Coming down this long front stretch into the hard left-hand turn, we'll see if Mike tries to make a move on him again. He's going to go to the outside. Coming around the outside. This time he's got a little bit better run coming out of that turn. It's going to put him on the inside on the next turn. Marchishin's still there though. Side by side they're coming down. And Doherty with the speed around the outside actually makes it stick. Took him 3 corners to pull off that pass. But a nice move by Doherty. Nice clean racing by both of these guys. Really good job. This is what we like to see. This kind of racing, you know, the guys don't get into each other. Nice, clean, hard racing. That's what we want to see. That's what we saw all season last season, and that's what we want to see here tonight. So great to see that. So now what can Doherty do with it? He was on his tail for a while. He seemed to have quicker pace than Marchishin. Can he get away from him? Can he start to run down Ken North? Because that battle went on for so long, these guys are now 5.2 seconds behind Ken North. So Ken's got a pretty nice gap. Ken is still holding steady at 2 seconds behind Jon Snow. Meanwhile, Snow has cut the lead to Wojcik down to 1.4 seconds. So he's eating away at that lead, showing great pace. I mean, it's not like we should be surprised. We saw him do this all season last season, but John was one that, as the season went on, he just got better and better. With the first part of the season, you know, the battles were mostly between Jay Vroman and Mike Doherty. We saw those guys battling a lot of races, and John was somewhere in the top 5 right behind him, but he wasn't battling for the lead as often in the beginning of last season. But by the end of last season, he had a few races where he absolutely dominated. The one that sticks out is Laguna Seca. He ran away with that race by such a wide margin. It's the most dominant performance we've seen in our league. That race at Laguna Seca. John was so far ahead he probably could have pitted 3 times and still won the race. I mean, he really ran away from the field. He was checked out before the halfway point of the race. He was gone. I mean, it was really an incredible performance. Put on a great show. It wasn't that good for he didn't get a lot of camera time because all the battles were going on elsewhere, because he was so far out ahead. We kind of ignored him for most of the race in the broadcast, but a great showing by him at Laguna Seca. He dominated, and we see him trying to eat away at this lead still on Wojcik. Wojcik has maybe picked up the pace just a little bit, seeing John closing the gap on him. He's kind of holding at that 1.4 second gap right now. You see Ken has slid back to 3.2 seconds. off of John Snow, so he's slowly losing time to Snow. And Doherty and Marchician aren't gaining much on Ken North, so these two guys in the front are kind of just pulling away from the rest of the field right now. You see that updated time. John is now down to 1.8 seconds, so he's actually fallen off of Wojcik just a little bit there. So this will be fun to watch. We're at 10 laps. We still got 25 more to go. It'll be fun to see what these guys are able to do. Meanwhile, back behind, Marchician must have had an incident, or not an incident, but some kind of mistake at some point, because he's fallen back into the clutches of Pedro Perez. And Pedro, we've never seen Pedro in the attacking mode very much. He is very consistent. He was a very, very new driver when the league started, and he has grown and grown as a driver. But this year he's already shown really good speed, just in the first week of practices and the practice races, and now here tonight he's showing great speed. And really good to see him battling for position. We haven't seen him in attack mode too much because he was kind of cautious and let people go, and sometimes was too quick to let people pass him when he should have defended a little bit. But as a new driver, I understand the respect. You want to show respect to the other guys, and you know, he knew he was new, but now that newness has worn off. He's a veteran driver. He's got a full season under his belt, and we see him running in 6th place, hot on the heels of Andre Marchician. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Marchician is 1.6 off of Doherty. Doherty's now 6.1 off of Ken North, so he is losing time to Ken North. Ken is now 3.3 off of John Snow, so everybody's spreading out a little bit. John is still 1.8 off the leader, Wojcik. So those guys are getting it done up there in the front. They're kind of pulling away from the field. Let's see, right here we got Lorenzo Liu he's following Evan Miller. This battle has kind of been going on for a while. These guys have been close together for quite some time. Evan's still having a nice race, running in 7th. Take a look on board with Lorenzo real quick. Not within reach to be able to make any moves yet, but keeping the pressure on nonetheless. Meanwhile, behind this is a battle between Joe Marsiglia and Johnson Liu. Joe, on the heels of the Porsche, he's trying to do what he can against Johnson. Johnson is a new driver in our league. We don't know much about him. We've got a few guys we don't know much about. We're going to have to learn about these guys as the season goes on and kind of get an idea of what their personalities are and their driving styles and everything else. The only thing we know so far is everybody's been pretty competitive, and we know Mike Wojcik is very fast. That's about all we know about our new additions to the league. You see Johnson getting a little wide there in the dirt, but able to maintain his speed and stay in front of Joe for now. Let's take a little bit further back. We'll look at DJ Young. He is, well, it was showing he was right on the heels of somebody, but I guess he just made a pass that we missed. Yeah, there it was. Okay, so DJ being followed by Nick Driveman in the McLaren, and was close behind Scott Hager, but Scott ended up off the track. That's going to put Hager back to 12th place. We'll see if he can hold there for now. Some good battles even far back into the field. Let's take a look up here again at Pedro. He's still keeping the pressure on Andre. You know, Pedro and Andre have had kind of a friendly back and forth for a long time, starting back when Pedro was extremely green. And, you know, Pedro, being the funny guy that he is, he likes to talk trash. Even when he was really green and really, really new, he would still talk trash back then. And him and Andre kind of give it to each other back and forth. So pretty awesome to see these guys racing competitively in a points race now. Just shows how much Pedro has improved as a driver. Alright, so let's take a look at the times. Let's see, Doherty is still 5.9 off of Ken North. See Ken dealing with some lap traffic there. Ken is 4.8 seconds off of John Snow. Meanwhile, Snow has cut the lead to Wojcik down to 1.2. So John, his pace seems to be coming and going in spurts. He's catching, and then he kind of stays where he's at for a while. And then, inexplicably, he just starts catching the leader again. I don't know if it's Wojcik slowing down or if John is just having a burst of speed every few laps. Unfortunately, we haven't been watching the lap time, so I can't really tell which one of them is slowing down and which one is speeding up. But I guess all that matters is this battle for first is about to get heated up. So we're 13 laps into the race. You see Wojcik getting just a little bit off in the dirt there. John really getting up on him now. See the gap back there to Ken North. He's there, but it's going to take a mistake or contact between these guys for Ken to be able to get in on this one. He's a little over, he's right at 5.5 seconds behind these guys right now. Let's take a look on board with John. Oh, and Lorenzo Liu just got a drive-through penalty. I imagine that's probably for track limits. Let's just take a look real quick. Must be for track limits. So he's going to have to serve a drive-through. Back on board with John Snow now. Oh, and another drive-through penalty. So we got Lorenzo Liu and Johnson Liu both with drive-through penalties at the same time. 14 laps into the race. So that is an unfortunate turn of events for those guys. See John, he's, for all argument's sake, he's caught Wojcik, but he just can't quite get up on him enough to really put the screws to him. Taking a look back through the field, I don't see any really close battles going on, so we're just going to stay here for a minute, kind of ride along with John, see what happens between these guys. John was 3 seconds behind him at one point, so he's got the pace to catch him and pass him because he's ran him all the way down. It took him a little while, but he has caught up to him. Unless Wojcik has another gear that he's been holding back on, we'll see. You gotta love the sounds of ACC. The sounds are so good in this game. The sound of the engine, all the rattles and shakes you hear in the car, the drivetrain, everything you can hear. Oh, John getting a little look to the inside here, but he's gonna be outside on the next turn. Wojcik recovers pretty nicely there, but that's gonna close the gap down a little bit. high-speed corner right here. You see Wojciech, the rear end just a little bit loose there. They say loose is fast, but loose can also be hard to drive. It just depends on your driving style, what you prefer. So he's down to about 0.4 seconds right now. Really fun battle between these guys. Oh, Wojciech gets a piece of the sausage curb right there. Oh, and that's going to put him in the wall. Oh, man, what an unfortunate incident right there for Wojciech. He's had such a great race going. You see him coming through that. It's a tricky turn. That sausage curb sticks out right there. And basically, to be fast, you have to get as close to it as possible without touching it. And he just gets a piece of it and loses the rear end of the car and goes head first into the wall. And he's no doubt trying to collect himself right now. Get himself back on the track. Whoa, close encounter there with Marchishin. But Wojciech is going to go straight into the pit. So he's going to repair the damage and do whatever else he's got to do to see what he can salvage for the rest of this race. Meanwhile, that's going to put Snow 7 seconds in the lead ahead of Ken North. So John really is in good position now. He's got a nice lead. He's 7 seconds ahead of Ken, who is 5.6 seconds ahead of Doherty. So there's a long ways back to Doherty right now. Take a look at some of these other guys. Okay, we've had some guys pitting, and we've been so busy watching the battle for first that we've missed out on that. I think Pedro has already pitted. Oops. Yeah, Pedro. I believe he already pitted. Some of these other guys, unfortunately, it doesn't show me who has pitted and who hasn't, so we just kind of have to watch for it and figure it out as it goes. So now we're going to have to watch the leaders and see when these guys pit. Speaking of that, John Snow's coming in right now. This pit lane is very tricky. It sneaks up on you. You come off the track, you're flying off the track, and you got to get down to the speed limit in a hurry. And I don't know how much these guys have been practicing that. Some of these guys, I don't know how much experience they have with races where there's a mandatory pit stop, but we'll find out. I know we had some races last season where there was some issues. You see Samuel Rock just pulled up with a drive-through penalty. I don't know if that was for track limits or what that was for. So John didn't take tires, but he took fuel, so his pit stop is finished. He's getting back out on the track. He is being shown in 5th place right now. Joe Marsiglia is pitting right now. So Joe's coming in. He's being shown in 6th place. Now some of this is going to get a little wacky for a few minutes here because guys are going to be changing all over the scoreboard. We'll try to keep up the best we can. So what we haven't talked about yet is the fact that Ken North is now the leader of the race. And he is about the halfway point of the race. He is leading right now. You see Doherty in the background back there. So that's his closest threat is Mike Doherty. We'll wait for the split to pop up, how much of a gap there is between these guys. Okay, there it is, 5.4 seconds. So Ken has run a really great race so far. He's got a 5.4-second lead on second right now. Now, granted, he's going to have to pit. Oh, and you see Joe Marsiglia just got a stop-and-go 30-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that's going to really hurt his race. You hate to see that for these guys, you know, that run such a good race and put in such a good effort, and then, you know, they get in the pit lane and get a penalty that just kind of ruins it for them. But we'll see how he can recover from that. He's currently being shown in 8th place, so we'll see how it all shakes out. So Ken right now in the lead. Mike Doherty is in the pits, coming out of the pits actually, so we missed his pit stop. You see Marchician is in the pits back there also. So all these guys are shaking it all out. Doherty did not take tires or fuel, so he was only in the pit for a few seconds. So Evan Miller is actually in 2nd place right now because of all the shakeup with people pitting and whatnot. So Evan, he's got to feel good right now. He's put together a nice race. First race in this car with the league. I'm sure he's got experience elsewhere with that car, but not with us. So he's got to feel good about where he's at right now. Granted, some of those guys, when he pits, are going to take the positions back, but got to feel good about this race so far for Evan Miller. And Ken North, you know, he's had a really nice race. Didn't quite have the pace of John Snow or Wojcik, but he was fast enough to stay well ahead of Doherty. Oh, and there you see Ken getting off the track right there. And now he's going to dive into the pits. So he's coming in for his pit stop. That's going to give the lead to Evan Miller unless Evan decides to pit here. We'll see what he decides to do. He's coming in also. So a lot of guys coming in right now. This is going to rotate around, and Mike Doherty, you see John Snow in the background right there. Doherty, his quicker pit stop actually gave him the lead of the race. He made up a good 10-12 seconds on John Snow. Well, actually a lot more than that. He made up a lot of time on John Snow with that pit stop and ended up out here in the front with John behind him. Now, John had more pace earlier in the race, but neither one of these guys took tires, so I don't know how aggressive either one of them are going to be able to be. But this is shaping up to be a very interesting finish for these guys. Oh, and you see Ken North gets a drive-through penalty. No doubt coming off of that pit stop. I guess it could be track limits, but more than likely it has to do with the pit stop. So just, you feel bad for these guys. You know, this is the first race of the season. You're kind of working out some of the rust and some of the kinks in the armor, you know. So hopefully we'll see this stuff, you know, kind of fade away as the season goes on. Oh, and you see somebody off and hard into the wall right there. That looked like, was it Samuel Rock? It was Samuel Rock. Really hard into the wall there. That is unfortunate for him. And you see Alex Moda in the pits right now, so he actually came back to race with us, even though he disconnected early in the race and it essentially ruined his race. He's at least come back to maybe put in some laps with the guys. So good to see him back. Sorry about the situation there. You see another car off the track, a Porsche there. That was actually for position. DJ Young. Wait, was that for position? No, it wasn't. Never mind. Or yeah, it was. Okay, so Johnson Liu taking advantage of DJ Young being off the track for a moment there. And now these guys are in a tight battle, battling for 10th position. So this year we have a restructured point system so that everybody in the top 19 spots will earn at least some points. Last year we ran a more traditional Formula One style where it was only the top 10 that earned points. But this year with the bigger field, we wanted to give everybody an opportunity to score some points towards the championship. That way some of the guys in the back of the pack will be having position battles throughout the season against one another instead of just not scoring points every race. So kind of a revamped system, but it's very, very similar at the top. It's just a little bit elongated so that everybody can get in on the action. So we'll see how that shakes out this season. It will be a little bit different for the winner. The winner before was a 7-point advantage over second place. This year, the winner only has a 5-point advantage over second place. So that's going to make the points a little tighter. It's going to make every position a little, every race a little more important than the one before. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Meanwhile, let's jump back up to the front. We got Jon Snow. You see Joe Marsiglia there, but that's not for position. Joe probably just feeling good now that he got that damage repaired on the Ferrari. He's probably feeling pretty nice. So he's looking nice and racy. He's still being shown in 8th place. So despite that penalty that he got, excuse me, he is about the same place in the field that he was in before. So he must have had a very large gap before. And you see Doherty up here in front of Jon Snow. The lead is now 2.4 seconds from Doherty to Snow. We are going to keep a close eye on this. Now Wojcik somehow is in 5th place, and he's repaired the damage on that BMW. So despite having to repair all that damage and make his pit stop and everything else, he is still in the top 5, and he is 1.7 seconds behind Andrei Marchishin. And that's pretty interesting. We'll see what kind of pace he has. If they were able to fix all of the damage on his car, he might have the pace to pick up a couple more positions, but we'll see if he can make it stick. Meanwhile, we haven't talked about Pedro. Pedro is running in 3rd place right now. If he can hold on to 3rd, this would be his best ever finish. Even if he doesn't hold on to 3rd, he still might have his best ever finish. So Pedro's got to be thrilled with his race so far. And, of course, he's looking good doing it with that Megadeth paint scheme. So you see... let's see, who is that behind him? I think it's DJ Young. Yeah, DJ is behind Pedro, but that is not for position. So DJ is being shown in 11th place. Pedro is in 3rd. So the traffic is kind of in and throughout the field. We'll keep a close eye on the leaders to see how they both deal with traffic as they come to it. Still at 2.4 seconds from Doherty to Snow. Not much has changed there. I mean, these two guys are our most consistent drivers. They're both extremely consistent on old tires. They're both really, really reliable and don't make very many mistakes. So if it just stayed like this and it ended exactly like this, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise because these guys are really consistent. So we'll see if John has anything for him. John had a better pace. Remember earlier in the race, John had better pace than Doherty did, but we'll see how much he can push those older tires. We'll see what the updated split is for Pedro, how far he is behind these guys. Oh, he's 19.9 seconds behind these guys, so he's quite a ways back there. So first and second, kind of all alone right now out in front. Marchishin is 6.4 seconds behind Pedro, and Wojcik is actually just got past Marchishin. We missed it. Let's go back and take a look at that. Wojcik showing really good pace after repairing that damage. Such a bad accident that he was in. You see him getting really close up on Andre right there. Really close racing between these guys. He's just got better pace than Andre does, so it's just a matter of time before he gets in there. You see it, he's coming around the inside. It's going to put him on the outside. Coming around wide, but able to hang in there. They got traffic in front of them too, so this is all really stressful, no doubt, for both of these guys. Still side by side coming into the right-hander. That's going to give Wojcik the advantage. And Andre smartly backs out of it. But you see Andre, that's typical Andre right there, nose to tail, man. He gets right up on these guys when they're in front of him. He's not afraid to close the gap. It's scary for me because I'm kind of in charge of the league, and I don't I don't know how much of that I can handle watching the guys battling that close, but it's fun to watch. Good to see good clean racing like that. So we see Wojcik, he had great pace to catch Marcheshin. Let's see what he can do from here. His next target would be Pedro Perez, but Pedro is 6.7 seconds ahead of him. So Pedro, he's got about 12 laps. So 12 laps left to catch Pedro. We'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, Pedro is falling back off the leaders a little bit. So he's up over 20.2 seconds now behind Doherty and Snow. Those guys, Snow is still 2.3 seconds off of Doherty, so no challenge going on right now. So we'll keep a close eye on that. There it just jumped up to 2.9, so Doherty actually pulling away a little bit on that lap. So let's see what we've got going on through the field here. We got Nick Driveman. He is behind Scott Hager. To McLaren. Seems like these guys have been back and forth all race long. No doubt they're having fun, having a good time. This battle going on for 10th place that we're watching right now. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got Jonathan Bryan. Johnson Liu is right on him, but it says Johnson Liu has a 30-second stop and go that he's got to serve. So this battle is going to be over before it starts. Meanwhile, you see Mike Doherty coming around Johnson. Good move by Johnson to let him through. Now he's going to have to let Snow through. He does. And he is slowing to a crawl. Not sure what's going on there. Let's keep an eye on these leaders right here. Snow. Let's see what the updated time difference is between these guys. 2.7, so hasn't changed too much yet. We'll keep an eye on these guys. Let's jump back here to Marcheshin. He's now 2.1 behind Wojcik, but Wojcik has got the lead to Perez down. He's already cut it down to 4.7 seconds, so he is catching Pedro at a very quick pace. I think when it started it was 6.5 seconds or something like that, so he's already got it down almost 2 seconds. So he's catching Pedro really quickly, and he's opening the gap on Marcheshin. It's now up to 3.2. So Wojcik recovering from that accident really, really well. Putting on a really good, now he's down to 3.6, so he is going to catch Pedro soon. I thought maybe it would be in the last few laps he would catch him, but he's got a lot more pace than I think we realized. So he's going to be catching Pedro really quickly here. we're going to look around, but we'll come back to this battle for sure. Meanwhile, Hager and Driveman still battling it out for 10th place. You see Driveman run wide there. Take a look on board with Driveman. Whoa, runs a little wide there. But Hager has an issue on this turn here. Driveman's going to catch right back up to him. So this battle just keeps on going. These guys are... they're in a tough one. 10th position is going to be hard to come by for somebody. You see Hager taking a very defensive line there, way down on the inside, slowing him down through the turn there. That's going to let Driveman gain a little bit more. He's got it down to 0.6 seconds. Well, this has been back and forth all race long, so... oh, Driveman catches the sausage curb just like Wojcik did and ends up in the wall there. Not too hard of an impact, but that's going to end that position battle. Let's take a look at Wojcik. You can see Pedro up ahead. He's got it down to 2.1 seconds. It's not a good feeling if you're the guy who's watching the time go down, 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 who's in front, because you know this guy's going to catch you, and he's going to catch you at some point soon. So it's not a good feeling, but Pedro's still got to be really proud about where he's at right now in this race. If he can get a top 5 finish, that would be his best finish that he's ever had with us. So that would be great to see for him. See Wojcik here. Really great pace from Wojcik. Meanwhile, we're just kind of keeping an eye on the split for the lead. John Snow is still 2.7 seconds behind Doherty. He's been lingering right around that 2.4 to 2.9 range. Now it's up to 2.8. He's been hanging around that area for quite a while. So those guys, you know, they've kind of matched pace for the last several laps. We'll see. We've got about 8 laps, well, 7 laps to go, because these guys are crossing the line now. So about 7 laps to go in this race. You see Wojcik's got it down to 1.7 seconds. Actually, it just updated, 0.883. So he's really on top of Perez now. He had really good speed in practice all week and really good speed in qualifying. Put on a great show in the first half of this race till he had that incident with that sausage curb. It looked like he might win the race, but he has recovered really, really well. You see him get a little loose there. No doubt pushing it a little bit. He's right on Pedro now, so it's just a matter of, is Pedro just going to let him have it, or are they going to battle it out for a while? See Wojcik looking around the inside there. Pedro closes the door. Wojcik looking around the outside, maybe looking for a crossover, but not able to make it on that turn there. Oh, he's going to take the inside here coming down the front stretch. Really close side by side with these guys. It's a drag race down the front stretch. They are getting close. Coming through the dog leg right-hander. Looks like Wojcik has just a little bit of an advantage, and of course he's got the inside, so he's probably going to have the advantage in this turn. Yeah, and that's gonna be the pass there. Good pass by Wojcik. Good speed to be able to run him down over the course of several laps. And now we'll see if Pedro can hold on. He's got a good lead on Marchician, who is 8.1 seconds behind him. So I don't know if Marchician has the pace. He doesn't quite seem to have the pace today that we saw him have in some of the races last season. He stayed in the top 5 the whole race, so I mean he's fast. There's no denying that. But you know, Andre, no doubt getting used to that new car too. So that's something that maybe he'll be faster in the Mercedes. Maybe he'll be slower in the Mercedes. We probably won't know for a few races. So we'll see how that goes as the season goes on. Meanwhile, we're watching this battle for 3rd place. And while we were doing that, Jon Snow has cut down the lead a lot on Mike Doherty. He is down to 1.6 seconds. Seems like just a second ago, now it's 1.3 seconds. Seems like just a couple seconds ago he was 3 seconds behind. Don't know if Doherty made a mistake or if John just really cranked up the heat. We've got about 6 laps to go. So he's going to make a move, now is the time. And he is, I mean, John had better pace earlier in the race, so it's not surprising he's able to reel him in here. Keep an eye on the other splits around the track, but for now we are going to stick with these two, battle for first. You see Pedro's down to 1.8 seconds now behind Wojcik. So Wojcik really doesn't have much of a chance to catch these two guys because they're so far ahead. We'll see what the updated... Yeah, he's 25.5 seconds behind these guys. So it would take something pretty serious to happen for him to catch these guys. But you see John... He's got it under a second. Let's take a look on board with Snow. See, Doherty gets a good run out of that last turn there. Looks like he might have widened the gap a little bit back up. All the way down into first into that hard left-hander. John is still just under a second, what it's showing. You love seeing battles like this. This is, you know, all these battles we've seen all through the field throughout the race. I know some of them are spread out now. There's not as many close position battles going on. But these are the, you know, the finishing laps of the race, the battles that we got to see throughout the race. That's why we do this. That's what makes it fun. Those guys, you know, getting after each other and really putting on a good show. You know, every position's a point difference. Every position is, you know, a little more bragging rights, and you can talk a little more trash in the Discord channel, and, you know, it's just a little more fun. If, you know, 11th is always better than 12th. Doesn't matter who was in 11th or 12th. If you're in 11th, you feel better than the guy who was in 12th. So that's why we do this. And, you know, when you think about racing, you always think like, oh, I'll be challenging for a win, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you're challenging for 8th place, but the battle you have for 8th place is more fun than anything the guys in the front ever did during the race. You know, maybe you had the most epic battle of your sim racing career and you got 7th, you know. So good to see these guys all having a good time and racing clean. That's our biggest thing. We're constantly, I know they get sick of hearing it because we beat them over the head with, all the rules and all the, keep it clean. More than anything, we want you to be clean, safe driving, give the other guy room, be respectful. We're very, very repetitive in this league with that. We grind it into guys' heads and make them, kind of hold them accountable for everything that they do. But the product on the track, it shows that it works, because these guys are really fast, and yet they're able to race really clean and put together some really awesome races. And we've had position battles all over the field tonight, and we saw that last season. We saw it all season. Oh no, John gets into the back of Doherty here, runs into the back of him. He's going to do the sportsman thing and let Doherty get back in front. Good move by John there. That is not something that we have ever seen out of John Snow. Let's take a look at the onboard. Never seen either one of these guys really make contact with anybody. So John coming over this hill just a little late on the brakes, looked like, and just got into the back of Doherty there. But you see him waiting, just letting Mike take the lead back. He's going to follow him back onto the track. So good sportsmanship. Good to see that. They had a 25.6 second gap on third place, which is Wojcik. We'll see what that gap is down to when it updates, but I don't think they're going to have to worry about Wojcik. He was quite a ways behind. Now the real question is, with 4 laps to go, can John catch back up to Doherty? Because he had all but passed him right up to that point. So it's back up to 1.9 seconds. Yeah, you can see Wojcik is still 18.6 seconds behind. So there's excuse me, there's no threat from third place. See what these guys can do. See if John can reel him in one last time in the last few laps here. So we got Pedro in 4th place. He's ahead of Marchishan. Where is Marchishan on the track? He's right behind him. We'll see what the updated split is. Okay, so he's 6.2 seconds. So Pedro's pretty safe there for now. 6.2 seconds. Pedro himself is 5.2 seconds off Wojcik, so no threat from him there. Evan Miller, I think, is quite a ways back from Marchishan. Let's see what the updated time shows. Not really any position battles going on anywhere else in the field right now. Everybody's pretty spread out. So the only real battle is this one right here. John Snow trying to hunt down Doherty one last time. And he's got it down to 1.6 seconds again. So he's showing good pace to try to reel him in. See if he can make a last second pass here to take this win away from Doherty. Mike's just trying to hold on. Just trying to hold on to it. So now it's down to 1.2 seconds. John definitely has the pace, but he's only got 2 laps to do something with Mike. Well, I don't know what he's going to be able to do here. We'll see if he can get up close enough to really challenge him again. Kyalami is such a rhythmic track. It's all about getting into a rhythm. There's so many sweeping turns and sections where you get into like a rhythm and a flow, and it just feels good as you're going around and around the track. It feels really like you build momentum, and you just kind of maintain that momentum lap after lap after lap. And that's no doubt why these guys are so good here, because these guys are both really consistent drivers. So they're able to get into that flow, get into a smooth rhythm, and just start putting down consistent laps over and over and over again. You see Doherty dealing with some traffic there. That's a good move by him to let the leaders go. We are on the last lap now. So this is it. All comes down to this. Doherty holding on to the lead. Can he hold on for one more lap? See Doherty nice and smooth through there. These guys have both put on such a good race. So we are going to ride along with Doherty here for a minute, or not ride along, but we're going to follow him as he's coming around the last few turns here. You see Snow is just barely out of reach. He's just not quite able to do anything with him right now. Another couple of laps he might have been able to take the win. We're going to see what happens here as they come around these last few corners. John is right up on him. Coming through the final turn here. Doherty is going to hold on to it. He's going to take the win. You see John weaving back and forth behind him. Great race by both of these guys. Awesome finishes by them. First and second, and then in third, here comes Wojcik. So his first race with us is a podium finish. So he's got to be ecstatic about that. That's awesome finish for him, especially considering that accident he was in earlier. That was a terrible accident. The fact that he was able to recover. You see Pedro coming in fourth, his best finish ever in a points race. So great job by Pedro. Representing hard rockers everywhere. And then we got Marchician. He finishes fifth. Evan Miller. You see there's Alex Mota behind Evan Miller. Now Mota is way in the back. He's like 25 laps behind everybody, but he's out here just having a good time, enjoying time on the track. Unfortunately had that disconnect earlier that ruined his race, but see Miller coming in sixth here, so he's got to be happy with that finish. Really good job by him. Marsiglia has already finished. Eric Tong, looks like everybody's already finished. I don't think there's anybody on the track anymore. So let's go back to the beginning. As you guys, if you've watched the races that I broadcast for our league, you know I like to show off the beginning of the race. Now, sometimes we do it from this view, that helicopter style view, but I think that's how we started the race. So instead, let's ride along with Doherty and see what it looked like starting in sixth place. Now these guys, you see them, they're all formed up. They're coming down the front stretch here, waiting for the green flag. And you see how tightly wound everything is. You're just waiting for that light to turn green so you can punch it. And there they go. So you see how close the racing is there. There's not much space between each car, and then you got to come into this hard left-hander right here. Moto, a little slow through that turn, loses the position to Wojcik pretty easily. John Snow falls in front of Now Marchician is right on the left of Doherty right now. You can see him just in the screen there. Almost contact between those guys. Doherty backs out of it smartly. So a great start by everybody. Some great racing by all these guys. Good finishes by a lot of guys who put in really good races. So all through the pack, even some of the guys in the back had a race that you can be proud of. So, all right, well, what we're going to do is we are going to sign off for now. We appreciate you watching. The CSRL League is always taking new members. You can join in the middle of the championship. You might not be in the hunt to win the whole thing with the points, but you can still come out and have some good clean racing with us. We race on Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have practices throughout the week. Monday we have practice races. Wednesday we have practice and practice races on Wednesday. So we have a 45-minute practice, 15-minute qualifier, and then we have two 30-minute races on Wednesdays. Then on Friday we have another practice, and then Saturday is the big night. That's when we have the big race. 1 hour mandatory pit stop, and we'd love to have you. If not, like and subscribe so you can catch every race throughout the season. We'll be putting them on. They usually come out early the following week. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you come back for the next one. And thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week.